Okay, so can you test one more time?
Hello?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
the
it's very
volume
clear.
okay? Okay, right?
Yes,
Alright.
yes, very clear. Okay, see you later. I will put you off stage
Alright.
first. Okay, see you.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So anyone can hear me? Just yeah. Okay, can see anyone in the live chat room? OK，欢迎大家来到我们的 Miao Meets Live Event。然后，我就很好奇，今天是大家第几次参加我们的 Miao Meets 线上活动呢？Like, how anybody has participated in our past events before? Yeah. Okay, so I don't want to waste too much time for the starting. So let's welcome our guest and our host of the day. So let's welcome Ziyou and Ruoxi. Okay, Ruoxi is host of the day, and Ziyou is the guest of the speaker of the day. So I'm going to leave the stage for Ruoxi, and okay, hope you both will enjoy today's event too. Okay, so Ruoxi, okay, I'll pass the mic to you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Miao Meet. Today's topic will be Ziyou's secret in learning physics Olympiad. I'm the host of the day, Zhong Ruoxi. The speaker of today will be Ziyou. 大家晚上好，欢迎大家来参加我们的喵 Meet 分享会。今天的主题是对话国际奥物金牌。我是你们今天的主持人钟若曦，你们今天的主讲嘉宾是Ziyou。Before I begin with the session, do allow me to address the rules of this Miao Meet. Please be respectful in the live chat room. Audience with inappropriate comments will be removed from the live chat. 在我们正式开始之前，请大家务必遵守我们分享会直播间的规则。I'm from Raffles Girls' School, Secondary 2 this year. 请允许我先做个自我介绍，我是钟若曦，来自来佛士女中，今年中2。Now, I'll be giving a brief introduction about Ziyou. Ziyou was from NUS High School and will be studying in Cambridge University soon this year. Ziyou will be sharing more about his journey and experiences with Physics Olympiad today. 现在，我要简要介绍一下Ziyou的背景。他毕业于国大数理中学，今年即将就读于剑桥三一学院物理系。今天，他会分享一些他的物理学习心得。如何准备奥林匹克物理竞赛和申请大学等。Next, I would like to talk about 3 most significant awards out of the numerous awards he has received so far. On a side note, he has received so many awards that we couldn't fit it all into this one PowerPoint slide. Back to the topic, the first award I would like to talk about is the Jardine Foundation Scholarship. This scholarship is only given to individuals who have demonstrated exceptional qualities of leadership and fellowship, achievements in non-curricular activities, as well as indication that the individual is likely to become an outstanding citizen. Jardine Scholarship awards students with first-degree courses at Oxford University and Cambridge University in selected colleges. These are bond-free scholarships provided by Jardine Matheson Educational Trust to benefit the communities. Besides the Jardine Foundation Scholarship, he also excelled in physics, which can be seen from the number of Physics Olympiad awards he has received. In 2018, he clinched a gold medal for both the International Physics Olympiad as well as the Asian Physics Olympiad. 接下来，我们来看看Ziyou这些年获得的奖项。Ziyou拿过的奖项实在是太多了，一页幻灯片都放不下，所以我在这里只会介绍3个奖项。我想分享的第一个奖项是怡和奖学金。这个奖学金是由怡和集团提供的，奖励给那些具有杰出领导才能，并且在课外活动中有所成就，以及时常参加社区活动的学生。怡和奖学金只颁给拿到剑桥和牛津的4个学院录取书的学生们。怡和奖学金旨在帮助有潜力成为对社会有高度承诺的杰出公民的年轻人。除了怡和奖学金，他在奥林匹克物理竞赛中获得过很多优异的成绩。他在2018国际奥林匹克物理竞赛和亚洲奥林匹克竞赛中都获得了金牌。I've come to the end of my introduction. Let's welcome Ziyou to share more about his secrets in learning physics Olympiad. 接下来，我们来邀请Ziyou进行他的分享。Welcome, Ziyou.
Okay, thank you. Right, so I'll be briefly talking about my journey in Physics Olympiad, and yeah, then we can go in more detail later on in the dialogue session. Right. Yeah, so firstly, a bit myself. I'm from NUS High School, class of 2018. Also, actually, NUS High School is actually quite a special school because, yeah, we have an IP program, which is a 6-year program, right? But unlike other IP programs, we don't actually take A-levels at the end. We should have our own NUS High School diploma. Yeah. So instead of having one big exam at the end, right, we have just like many small exams like throughout the years. So how it works is that in the 6 years of NUS High School, right, the first two, this is when I was still in NUS High. So back then, it was the first 2 years, which was not graded. So we had time to adjust and like to understand the system. Then the last 4 years, every single year, our grades will be counted towards our final graduation cap. And that will determine our diploma. Yeah. But it has since changed a bit. So now it's more like a 3+3. So the first 3 years is not graded and the last 3 years graded. Overall, I think this is a pretty interesting system because like, firstly, we don't have the stress of such a big exam at the end. And also like, it encourages us to like, be more to study continuously throughout the whole 6 years. Also, this is one of the reasons why like we were able to do well in like physics Olympiad, because for like IP program, right, we don't have A-levels to worry about, so we can kind of focus our time on the kind of Olympiad studies. Yeah, so that's pretty good, right? Then, as mentioned previously, I'll be studying at the University of Cambridge later this year. So I'll be flying off around like mid-September. Yeah. So I'll be studying natural sciences at the University of Cambridge in Trinity College. So what's interesting about this degree is that actually for natural sciences, right? We don't actually have to choose a science to specialize in from the start. Yeah. So actually, we're able to explore like different sciences for the first 2 years. Then for the 3rd year, we can specialize. So I'll be planning to specialize in physics, and the first 2 years I might be thinking of exploring like chemistry and material science. And so I think this is quite interesting because we don't have to fix our specialization so early on. And we can choose to explore other topics also. And also like they offer this integrated master's program, which is where the first 3 years will be the bachelor's degree, and you can choose optional 4th year to get a master's degree afterwards. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good. All right. So I can talk a bit about my application to Cambridge. Yeah, so this one is for most of the UK universities. For US university, it's a separate system. But for UK universities, right, basically how it works is that you need to apply to UCAS, which is a university and college application system for the UK. Yeah. And for Cambridge specifically, right, they have a special like COPA form to fill up, which is the Cambridge Online Preliminary Application. Yeah. So that's the application to Cambridge. Then usually for most of the subjects there, you need to take a interview and an assessment test. So the interview will be, you can either choose to take it in Singapore or you can fly over to the university to take it. Yeah. So if you take in Singapore, there'll be only one round. If you fly over there, they have multiple rounds of interview, but you have to pay your own ticket and all that stuff. Yeah. So, but I'm not sure whether like these two have a difference regarding like your admission chances. But most people I know will be taking the interview in Singapore. Yeah. And also there'll be admission tests. For natural sciences, they have their NSAA, which is the Natural Science Admission Assessment. Yeah, I know for math they have their STEP, and for English they have some other stuff. But usually, yeah, you just have to go through like an interview and a test before you can get in. Yeah. And yeah, so usually the UCAS will open around like August, and you can apply until like September or something. Yeah. Then the result will be given to you the next year, January. Yep. Right. So now I'll be talking a bit about the different exams, the different competition Olympiad. Right. So firstly, we have our SJPO and S4, which is our local, the national level Olympiad. So SJPO is the Singapore Junior Physics Olympiad, which is like anyone can sign up for it. Yeah. So it's taken by like Sec 1 to Sec 4 students, so basically secondary school. Yeah. And how it works is that so it has a general round, which is it's a like MCQ paper, and everyone can take part. And those who score well in this paper can go to the special round. Yeah. And the special round is just a paper with like short answers, open-ended questions. And the medals will be decided based on the special round scores. Yeah. So it's a combination of both, but you need to get special round to get a medal for this, basically. Yeah. And for S4, right, it's a similar thing. So you have a general round and special round, but for S4, it's usually taken by J1 students or year 5 students. Yeah. So for S4, right, the format is a bit different because the general round, right, it's only by invitation. So the school must nominate you to go for the exam. Yeah. So usually, if you're interested, you can like maybe tell a teacher about it, then they will kind of send you for the competition. Yeah. But unlike the SJPO, right, the S4 the second round of the S4 is kind of different. It's an experiment. Yeah. Because actually, for all the overseas competitions, right, they have a theory round and an experimental round. Yeah. So that's why the SO, they try to model the this type of exam. So they have a theory round for the general round and the experiment for the special round. And then yeah, so the reason why this is important is because your score for SJP and S4 right, actually determines whether you get selected for actually it kind of indirectly determines whether you get selected for the like traveling teams, like for overseas competition. Yeah. I will elaborate a bit later on. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so usually how it goes is that so I went to the European Physics Olympiad in 2017. It was in Estonia. It's a pretty nice place. Yeah. But basically how it works is, so how this one works is that after SJPO, like they'll take all the year 4 gold medals or the secondary 4 gold medals, and then they'll give them a selection test. And the top 5 people of the selection test will get to go for this European Physics Olympiad. Yeah. So they get to represent Singapore when they're year 5 or JC1 to go for this competition. Yeah. So, but actually for my year, it's a bit different because in 2017, this was actually the first ever European Physics Olympiad. Yeah. So before this, there was like this didn't exist. So our school had to like kind of it's kind of last minute thing. So our teacher chose 3 of us to go, and then just prepare for it within like 1 month. Yeah. But for now, it's more structured because we have a selection test for all the year 4 students after SJPO. Yeah. So actually, this one, because as you know, right, Singapore is not Europe, so that's why we go for this competition. It's actually as a guest country. Yeah. So because of this, I think MOE decided that we should use this as an opportunity to train like the students, because usually the other competitions are participated by the J2 students. So they use this as an opportunity to train the J1 students for the other competitions. Yeah, so they get like more confidence and it made it understand from your paper. Yeah. So like SO, right, this Olympiad has both theory and practical round, but but each of them is 5 hours long, so it's actually a very long paper. Yeah. But even though it's so long, right, usually you won't have time to finish all the questions because it's of the difficulty. Yeah, so that's why like it can be quite difficult to like kind of get used to it, because like you barely have any 5-hour long papers anywhere else. Yeah. So that's why they gave this to the J1 people first to like get them used to like this kind of competition. So when they go for the I4 and A4, right, they'll be more prepared. All right. Yeah. Then next is the kind of the Asian Physics Olympiad. So I went for the 2018 one in Hanoi, Vietnam. Yeah. So for this one, right, it's kind of different. The selection for this one is different from the UFO in that after your S4, right, no matter what you get, as in no matter what medal you get, right, as soon as you get a medal, you can be invited to the national team. Yeah. And in the national team, right, they'll have a training every Wednesday from like Jan to March. Then you'll go through like all the basic topics of it. Yeah. Then in the middle of March holidays, right, which is like last week, they have their selection test. So actually they just have selection test on Wednesday, on 17 March. Yeah. So this selection test will determine who goes for the like Asian International Olympiad. Yeah. So how it works is that the selection test, they'll just pick the top 10 of them. Because Asian Physics Olympiad, there's actually 8 people per team. And for international, there's 5 people. So how they choose is that they choose 2 people to go to I4 directly, and they choose 8 people to go to A4. Right? And after the competition A4, right, they will take the top 3 of them, like the top 3 scorers in A4 to go to I4. Yeah. Then that will make 5 people to go to represent Singapore. Right. Yeah. So I think it's quite a good system, because like you give more people the opportunity to go overseas. Because even though A4 is not like it's only the Asian one, it's not international one, right? It's still a good experience for everyone. Yeah. All right. Then so once you get selected for the traveling teams like Asian or International Physics Olympiad, you will basically the training from the MOE side will kind of stop. As in, like, they won't be training for A4 specifically. Yeah, so you have to do your own theory training. Yeah, so like European Physics Olympiad, right? The Asian Physics Olympiad also have a theory and practical round, and they're both 5 hours long. Yeah. So the MOE actually will train you for the practical round. They will give you the previous year training sets in NTU. So you just go to NTU for 1 week, then that's your training. Yeah. So as you can see, like for Olympiad, right, it's actually a lot of self-study going on, because the MOE at this point, right, like MOE and all that and your school probably won't interfere anymore. So you have to do your own studying. Yeah. So like self-studying for Olympiad is actually very important. Yeah. So So this kind of a similar thing for I4 also. So in my year, my IFO was at Portugal. Yeah. And yeah, so similar to AFO, right, is that we don't, it's still a 5-hour paper for both experiment and practical. Yeah. But for this one, we don't have any, like, as usual, we don't have any like specific training by MOE. So what we did was we just went to a room and sit there for like 5 hours to do the past year papers. Yeah, so the time practice to get us like used to the 5-hour long paper. Yeah. And even, yeah, so this one, they should have 2 weeks of training for practical to prepare us for IFO. So they just open a lab for us for like 2 weeks, then we just go inside and do like the practical every day. Yeah. Yeah, so as usual, this one requires a lot of like self-studying and like all that, because there'll be no teacher that supervise you. You have to do everything by yourself. If you don't want to do it, right, then no one can force you to. Then yeah, so it's kind of like you have to be motivated to do it. All right. Yeah, but yeah, overall it's quite interesting competition, because like it's not just your normal like theory paper. You have all these experiments and stuff, which is more hands-on. Yeah. And yeah, I guess this is the brief introduction for the Olympiads. Yeah. So yeah, I guess we can talk more about it in the dialogue session. So let's welcome back our host for the dialogue session now.
Thank you, Ziyou, for that inspiring presentation. Now I'm sure all of you have realized just how outstanding he is in terms of academics. But other than his academic life, I'm sure all of you want to know more about him as a person. Thus, we'll now move on to the next segment, the answering of questions. The questions asked today will mainly address 3 categories: study tips, physics Olympiad, and the application of university and scholarships. 感谢子由的分享，大家了解到了子由在学业上取得的成绩，同时我们也想更多了解优于学业之外的子由。接下来我们就进入到问答环节，我们会问关于学习经验、奥赛经验和奖学金大学申请的问题。Firstly, for study tips, one question is, how can we study for physics and chemistry in a more effective manner?
Yeah, I think yeah, actually this question is to answer this question properly, we need to bring into like different papers, I guess. Because for A-levels and O-levels, right, the format is very different from like Olympiad. So in general, I feel like for A-levels and O-levels, right, it's actually very important to study like to understand like the concept behind it. Yeah. So yeah, but I think for O-levels, right, most of the thing is qualitative anyway. So the concept is all they're testing. Yeah. So because they're studying physics, right, and most of stuff testing in physics is like about the world around us. So it's like you can kind of get this kind of experience by like messing around with like the objects in your house and all that. So it's actually quite easy to like it's like there is some useful demonstration to look at when studying physics. Yeah. So actually this qualitative thing, as in this qualitative understanding, is actually very important, even in like A-level and Olympiad. So actually right now I'm coaching like the NUS High Olympiad team, and I realized that a lot of them, right, for Olympiad, right, it's actually more quantitative. So there's some more math involved. But then yeah, so but because of that, right, a lot of them might neglect the qualitative side, which is also very important. Yeah. So when I was coaching them, I realized that a lot of them are doing math instead of physics, which is a bit weird. Yeah. So they don't really understand like the physics behind it. So I think for like yeah, in general, right, I think just really trying to understand physics. So like there's a lot of formulas there, right? Like there's a lot of formulas in physics. So but it's not really useful to just memorize it without understanding it, because if you just do that, right, you're just doing math instead, which is not the point of physics. Yeah. As for as for chemistry, I can say the same thing, but chemistry is less quantitative, so it's hard to fall into this trap of like just memorizing formulas. Yeah. But for chemistry, there's actually, I feel there's more stuff to memorize, but then in fact a lot of things are actually connected. So if you can actually find a connection between different topics, you kind of link it up in a better way, and then you'll be more helpful to understanding of the different topics.
好，谢谢子由。刚才我就是问了他，如何更有效的学习化学和物理。关于物理，他的建议是，在学习不同的那种 concepts 的时候， 应该不是去背，而是去真的了解、理解为什么那个formula 是这样子的。因为他也有补习一些学生要考奥数的学生，然后他发现很多学生都是在背，然后这个就更像数学了，而不是像物理。化学呢也是同样的，也是要去了解，而不是去硬生生的去背。For the next section, Physics Olympiad, for students who are interested or currently already in the midst of preparing for Physics or Chemistry Olympiad, what suggestions or study tips do you have for them?
Yeah, again, this depends on the level they're at. So for but in general, I think a good way to study for it is to like kind of just understand what's going on. But actually, let's see this. One way to study for it for like the high levels is to like actually make your own question. That's what I'm actually encouraging my juniors to do. So what I'm asking them to do is that just find some interesting paper online or something, then try to like model the phenomenon on like with physics. Then after that, just write down a question for their peers to solve. So in this way, right, they can try to understand the phenomenon better by like modeling it themselves, and also they can test each other with their own questions. So I think this is a quite interesting way to like improve, especially if you have like peers who's also interested in physics Olympiad. But for the but honestly for like maybe FJPO level, right, that level is like is testing like how much you know of physics. So just try to like a lot of stuff is like just try to understand like just try to learn most of the concepts beforehand. But actually now I think for especially for physics, I'm not sure about chemistry. For physics Olympiad, they try to be more like inclusive to like a lot of others, like the different schools. So they try to make the topics more similar to the A-level and O-level syllabus. So but I feel like if you can understand like O-level, A-level syllabus quite well, right, you can have a good chance of doing like some Olympiad questions as well. So it's similar to like the previous question, I guess.
So for physics and chemistry is around the same ways of preparation?
Okay. For chemistry, because I'm not coaching chemistry, so I can't really say like where this will work. But when I was studying chemistry, right, I realized that a lot of the things is like you have to memorize a lot of the reactions and all that stuff. So I find that to be more like effective because like there's actually so much to memorize and there's not much. So like I say this, there's not much like really a deeper reason to it other than like memorizing it. But things that even though it's a lot of memorizing, right, there are some like very obvious patterns there. For example, like some like maybe like in organic, there's some really common oxidation reactions and stuff like that. So if you pick on these patterns, right, it'll help you memorize. Because a lot of stuff is like, especially organic, is like memorization. But there are still tricks to memorize it by looking at like the patterns of like the type of reaction and so on. So
okay, thank you. Then for the next question, I can tell that you're very passionate about physics. And what I want to ask is, were you always interested in physics? And when and how do you start getting more involved in Physics Olympiad?
So actually, when I was year 1 and year 2, right, I did not really know about physics. I participated in FJPO, but I just got participation for both years. So back then, because I didn't know what physics was, I just learned it in like secondary 1. So I have no idea what's going on. But in year 3, right, they invited me to go to the like Physics Olympiad like training. So I just tried I'll just give it a shot. But then so that's when I actually decided like actually realized that physics is quite fun because like all the questions there are like very different from the what's taught in the core modules. So I really started like doing physics then. So actually like the major the point where it actually started is that I got like a gold medal in SJPO in 2015, like when year 3. So like that was quite surprising because the previous 2 years I got participation and I did not like think I would do well in that because it's the first year. But then somehow I got gold, and then that kind of encouraged me to like go further inside in Physics Olympiad. So I think because of that, right, I wanted to like just keep going just keep studying Physics Olympiad instead of others like Math Olympiad or something. So that's how it started, I guess. then like as I go further and further, I just realized that there's actually a lot, like physics is actually a very deep topic. So like a lot of the very basic stuff, right? It's actually there's a lot to it if you look deep enough. So like there's like so much to learn about it, and that's like kind of exciting to me. Yeah. So that's why I keep going in physics Olympiad.
I can tell from like the amount of awards you received that you have attended and participated in a lot of competitions. So do you still get nervous before the competitions?
I mean, there will also be you also get nervous after, like, before competition, but for like but especially like the bigger ones, but when I was like but for like, basically for the local ones, right, like it's not really that nervous anymore because like I've participated so many times already. For SJPO I participated 4 times and FO is like 2 times. Yeah, so this kind of stuff after a while there isn't much to be nervous about. Yeah, but I think that even though like there's a lot of like the local competitions, right, the overseas one is still like quite yeah, it's still quite I still get quite nervous because it's like overseas and representing Singapore. So there is still quite a high, like still a lot of pressure for me to like do well in there. Because like the first time I went overseas was like 2017 for UFO. And back then I have no idea how like the paper worked or anything because it was my first time overseas. Yeah, and that was like I was like really nervous about that. Yeah. But even afterwards, like for A4 and IFO, right, it was still kind of nervous. Like, yeah, because for A4, right, I had to compete for the spot in IFO. So I can't mess up my competition. Yeah. But for IFO, right, actually for IFO I was the least nervous because at that stage, right, we're all like, well, we've done our best already. So there's no being nervous because whatever happens, like whatever we get, right, that'll be our final result and we can't do anything about it. So actually, it's kind of weird, but for at IFO, I was the most relaxed based on all the 3 competitions. Yeah, but yeah, so but that was our kind of a mindset for IFO. I think it's quite good because there's no like a lot of competitions, right? There's no point like rushing the concept the night before it, because like at that point you should have done everything you can. If you rush anymore, right, that means that you should have prepared this earlier, right? You shouldn't rush it at the last minute. So in fact, the night before competition, we just kind of played board games and played cards instead of like mugging for it. Yeah, so for that one, it's a special case, but I will understand if you like other people get nervous about it because it's such a big thing, right? You're representing Singapore for the International Olympiad, but then like at that point, worrying doesn't really help anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Previously in your presentation, you also mentioned that the physics Olympiad, there were papers that were 5 hours long. Is it the same for chemistry?
For International Chemistry Olympiad, it's the same. Yeah. So actually, all the International Olympiads is all 5 hours long. Yeah. Yeah, but for physics, math, and physics, chemistry, and bio, it's always 5 hour theory, 5 hours experiment. Yeah. Therefore, math and informatics is both 5 hours theory because you can't have experiment in math, right? Yeah. But yeah, so it's like all the same 5 hours long paper. But for the local competitions, it's not that long. Yeah, for SJPO, right, the general round is like 2 hours long MCQ, and special round is like I think also 2 hours long or 3 hours long. Then for S4 is like I think S4 is not really fixed though, but I think last time it was about 3 hours long for each practical and theory. Yeah. Then for Astro, the Singapore's Chemistry Olympiad, I think the practical was like 2 hours or 1 hour, and the theory was like 2 hours or so. Yeah, so it's not that difficult on the national level yet, but on the international level, it's always 5 hours long.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, this is very long. For the last section, university or scholarship application, what preparation do you do for the university application?
Okay. Actually, because I was applying for UK universities, right, it's actually a lot less thing to prepare than US universities, for example. But I can talk about both. Yeah. For UK universities, right, what you need to do is that you need to apply to UCAS. Like I mentioned before, the university and college application system. For this one, what you need to do is that you need to write a personal statement. Yeah. Okay. Then you need to get a teacher's recommendation letter, and you need to fill up all your details. But the detail stuff is the easy part because it's just fill up your details. Yeah. So the recommendation letter and the essay is like the more difficult stuff. The essay is like a 4,000 character long essay, so around like 700 words, I think. So this one you need to talk about your own like experiences and like it's called personal statement. So you need to talk about experiences and like what you did. Just in an essay, just to kind of sell yourself to university. Then for teacher's recommendation, you have to basically like ask your teacher to write one for you. So to prepare for this, right, sometimes you might need to like write a questionnaire for a teacher. So just answer some question about like what you did, so a teacher can like write something better for you. So all this, like, you try to sell yourself to the university, right? So you try to make yourself look good. So that's why you put all the nice points inside there also, especially for a teacher to write. So I've heard from the college counselor that if your teacher writes something like, "Oh, this is the best student I have in like 20 years," right? Then the college will actually look at that very highly. So so just get a teacher write something good about you. Then then I think that's all for the UCAS. Actually, then okay. I didn't mention this just now, but for UCAS, right, it's basically to apply for all the UK schools. But there's an exception is that you can apply for you can apply to up to 5, to as like any college or any course. But for Oxbridge, right, like Oxford and Cambridge, you can only apply to one course for both of them. So you cannot apply to both Cambridge and Oxford at the same time. But you can apply to like, let's say 4 different Imperial College courses, but you can only apply to one Cambridge course. So that is for UK universities. For US universities, it's a bit more complicated. So as usual, you need to have your personal statement and your teacher's recommendation letter. But for teacher's recommendation, right, most of the US universities will require 2 of them. So one of them is for an academic subject. For example, in my case, I would use physics. And another one would be a contrasting subject. So for example, like English or humanities. So that's why you need 2 different types of recommendation letter from 2 different types of teachers. And for US university, your personal statement is a different type of personal statement. So for UK, right, usually what you write is about, you just write more about academic stuff, so like what you did and what competition you went to. But for US universities, right, usually they'll ask you to like tell a story about yourself. So then it's more of a storytelling thing. Then through this story, you can tell like how much you've like learned from it, or what you like, how much you grew for it or something. But the main focus should be like the story that you're telling, and not like the thing. That's what the college counselor told me. So like for US university, the US application, the personal statement is actually more tricky to write because of this. So there's no like fixed formula on how to write it. As long as you write a good story, they probably like boost your chances. Then for US, there's also more complicated stuff because last time you didn't have your SAT and AP exams, right? So last time, before coronavirus, almost all the schools require you to take either SAT or ACT, which is like the standardized test. So SAT is out of 1,600. And ACT is out of 36, I think. So before you apply, right, you have to get a good enough score for them to consider you. If not, a lot of them will just reject you if your score is low enough. But I think for now, after coronavirus, a lot of schools are like leaning towards not having it being compulsory. So even if you don't have the SAT scores, right, you can still apply to the school and you still have a chance for it. But of course, having a good SAT score will always boost your chances. And for US schools, there's also this called the AP exam, which is the advanced placement. So you can take it in like either JC1 and JC2, then you can skip some classes in like the university if you want to, because like the first year uni is kind of like similar to what we learn in A-level. Some of them are similar. So if you get like a perfect score for like the AP, which is all of 5, right, then you're likely able to skip those few courses in the university. So you don't have to waste time learning what you already learned. Right. Then so that's the basic application. For US is through UApp, just the university application. But then for each of the school you apply to, right, they will ask you to write a lot of essays. So each school you apply to, you can write an additional like maybe 2 or 3 essays on top of your personal statement. So if you apply to say 5 schools, right, then that's another like 10 or 20 essays in your write. So there's a lot of work to do for US universities. But most of the essays is quite short, maybe like 100-word essay about like some part of your tell me more about yourself, something like this. So you can kind of reuse the essays, but then there are some that's quite long, like 500-word essay about like some experience or something. But all this is like for US university. And one last thing you need to do is you need to get your college counselor to write you I think yeah, you need a college counselor's like recommendation, which is like similar to teacher's recommendation, but written by the college counselor. Yeah. So there's actually a lot of things to prepare for US universities because of this. Yeah. So usually to prepare for it, right, you should get everything ready. Like you should try to start on it like, on the start of the year. So like I guess around this time if you're graduating this year. Yeah, because the writing of a personal statement is not easy because like you need to make sure that it's like you need to make because it's the thing that the college council will judge you on. The admission officer will judge you on the essay. So you must write a good essay for them to like be really impressed by you. And also like all the teachers' recommendation, all that stuff, right? You should also ask your teachers earlier and like submit the questionnaire earlier for them to have time to prepare. So you don't want your teacher to give you don't want to give it to your teacher last minute, right? Because they also have other work to do. So if you give them the last minute, right, they might rush it. They might not write a good statement for you. Yeah. So actually for me, right, because for the Singaporean guys, we have NS, so we have 2 years gap. Yeah. So actually what I did was that I did not apply in 2018 when I graduated. I applied in 2019. But before I enlisted in 2019, right, I had everything ready. So all my letters and all my personal statements ready. It's already written beforehand. Like I've finished everything in like Jan of 2019. Yeah. So I just had to wait until the thing opens and can apply in 2019. Yeah. So I think this is one good thing to like about NS, which is that you have 3 chances to apply. Yeah. So for like the girls, right, you guys don't really have multiple chances. You only have 1 chance to apply. Yeah. But for guys, you have like 3 chances because of NS. Yeah. So especially for US university, right, the 3 chances is very important because a lot of people will say that US universities, they are really luck based. So it's like if you get a nice officer, right, then they read through a statement, then maybe you get higher chance. If you get not nice one, they just maybe like read the first line and ignore it. Yeah, so like it's really luck based. This thing's really luck based. So the more time you apply, right, the higher chance you have because like maybe the next time you apply, you get a better officer or something. Yeah. So I guess like even though like we need to waste 2 years on NS, you can still use this time to like, apply for different universities. Yeah. I think that's about it.
Okay, thank you. And for another question is, from the awards I can see that you have participated in both physics and chemistry. So you ended up choosing physics as your major.
Yeah.
Why did you choose physics?
Yeah, actually like I chose physics because like I guess it's more interesting and like the stuff is more quantitative. So you can write like math formulas about it, then you can predict stuff. For chemistry, personally I feel like a lot of the laws and stuff, right, they're not really explained. They just say that, oh, it's just like this, then you just memorize it. So I feel like it's not really satisfying learning that, especially for a lot of organic reactions, right? Like a lot of stuff, like some reaction doesn't work, but you just say you're not really to say why, just say it doesn't work. So to me, it's not really that satisfying. But for physics, right, if you can actually like model it with some math and then you explain it with the math model. But I understand that for chemistry, it's actually the reason why you can't have this in chemistry is because chemistry is in a sense more complex than physics. So you can't solve like the equations exactly. Then you have all these like weird exceptions and everything. Yeah, because like but then some people might prefer that, but for me, it's not really satisfying, so I didn't choose it. Yeah, but anyway, like mentioned just now, right, the chemistry actually allow us to choose like to take both physics and chemistry for the first 2 years, which is what I'm doing. Yeah, so if I find chemistry like more interesting, right, I can choose to specialize chemistry later on. Because for now, nothing is fixed yet. Yeah, I'm just planning to specialize in physics in year 3, but then in the first 2 years, I'll be still taking both chemistry and physics, so I still have a choice. Yeah, so that's why I chose Cambridge, because it's like I get this freedom of like what to specialize in. So I'm not stuck with physics from the start.
You also mentioned that there was continue.
I mean, like, another reason is like because I chose Physics Olympiad is because Physics Olympiad has a Asian competition, so you got more chance to go overseas. For chemistry, there's no Asian chemistry Olympiad, so like you just have one chance getting the team of the international one. So there's more chances in physics. Yeah, that's another reason. Right.
And in your presentation, you also mentioned that there will be an interview for the Jardine Foundation Scholarship.
Right.
Was the interview very hard?
Okay, so how it was is that they have like 3 rounds of interviews, so called. The first round is like a video interview. Yeah, so they send you some videos. Like they ask you to, they send you a website, right? Then they have some questions on the website. Then you answer the website you answer the questions using like by taking a video. Yeah. So the videos are kind of like the standard stuff, like the standard scholarship stuff. Is like, yeah, just like tell us more about yourself. What do you do? Like why do you think you deserve the scholarship? All this stuff. So it's like how do you like give back to the community, and how would you like, and like what community stuff do you do? So like this, like the very standard scholarship interview stuff. Yeah. Then for the next round interview is like the face-to-face interview, but in this case usually it'll be like in this case it's over Zoom because of coronavirus. Yeah. But weird thing is that most of the question in the second interview is the same as the first interview, but in this time you're talking to an actual person instead of like to a camera. Yeah, so it's kind of weird because like it's the exact same questions, but then but you get more interaction, I guess, because the person can just ask you more questions about it. Yeah, so I guess it's a chance for you to elaborate more about like what you did. Yeah. Then the final round should usually, okay, previous year the final interview is that they will invite you to Hong Kong. Like they'll pay for your ticket and the hotel for you to fly to Hong Kong. Then you go there to interview. Yeah, so they give you like, they just pay for everything for 1 week. Then you go there to talk to other scholarship finalists and like just talk to everyone there. Yeah, so you make friends and all that. But then because of coronavirus, right, we can't have that. So this time it will be online also. It's all on a Zoom interview. Yeah, which is quite sad because like yeah, we because like I feel like this is a really nice chance to like for networking, right? Because there's so many like really like outstanding people over there. They can like make friends with them. Yeah, but because of coronavirus, we don't have this opportunity this year, which is quite sad. Yeah. But anyway, the last interview was they kind of also asked before this, right, before the interview they have a essay question. Yeah, I forgot about that. Essay question was like basically, okay, this essay question will be also in Hong Kong also. So you fly there, write essay question, and have the interview. Yeah. So it's just that you sit down in a room, they give you 45 minutes to write an essay about some topic they give you. In this year, obviously the question is about coronavirus, which is expected. Yeah. So what happens in the final interview is that they will ask you more about like what you wrote in your essay, what you wrote, like what you said previously, also what you wrote in your application, also the essay assessment. Yeah. So actually, you must be really careful what you write in the scholarship essays and also the application essays. Yeah, I forgot to mention this just now, but for both university and scholarship essays, right, it's quite important you don't try to scam them. So you don't write stuff that you don't understand, because they will definitely ask you about it. Because in my essay I wrote about CERN, then it asked me, oh, you went to CERN, right? So can you explain how the Higgs boson work? That was a really weird question because like yeah, I don't think a lot of people, I don't think they will expect people to answer that. Yeah, but just be prepared to like to be asked about like whatever you write in an essay, because like they will think that you know it very well, so they can test you about really like weird stuff about it. Yeah. So in fact, my friend, right, he wrote about like using some like mathematical method for his research. Then the interview just asked him about the method. Then he just derived it he just wrote the equation on the spot. Yeah, and then he was quite impressed. Yeah, so this kind of stuff is that whatever you write in an essay, right, can be asked by the interviewer. So just be prepared about it. Yeah, so just try not to talk about stuff that you don't understand. So if you try to scam, right, they might call you out about it. So it doesn't look good on your part. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, like the final interview is actually a lot more like, I guess, personalized. So they will really look through your application and ask you details about your application. Yeah. So for example, in my case, I talked about like helping out because like last year the IFO was online, the International Olympiad was online, right? So I was actually there to help them mark and like argue for marks for the scripts for the Singapore team. So I wrote about that. Then they actually asked me a lot of questions about this event here. Yeah. So I guess it's like one thing I'm looking for is that yeah, so it's like community stuff, right? So stuff is like, but they're also looking about a very like special stuff, I guess. So it's like very unique thing. So this invigilating for IFO, right, it's kind of a unique thing, right? It's like most people won't get experience to do this. So like especially like to help mark and like argue to mark and moderate the scripts for the national team people. Yeah, so I guess it's quite a unique experience. Then maybe that helped me stood out between the other people. I guess. Yeah, but they will ask you about a lot about what you've written in your essay.
Okay, then other than the questions I have asked, we have also gathered some questions raised by parents from the WeChat group. So for the first question, 有些家长想知道一下，物理和化学有没有什么课本，就学校提供的课本以外的书或视频可以扩大知识，然后加深一下理解。Are there any reference books or videos other than the ones provided by schools to expand your knowledge and have a deeper understanding of chemistry and physics concepts?
Okay, yeah, so I know that like in my circle of Olympiad, like friends who do Olympiad, right? A lot of them will like basically refer to textbooks to study by themselves. Yeah, so for physics, there's a lot of textbooks that I can recommend. Yeah, so usually this is like the very standard stuff that it's like the year 1 physics undergraduate textbooks. Yeah, so there's a reason why it's very standard because like this textbook is very good. So like they actually teach you concepts very well. Yeah, so for physics, more familiar with physics because that's what I used to study. Yeah, for physics, there's a lot of different topics, right? There's for classical mechanics, I would recommend the Introduction to Classical Mechanics by David Morin's. Yeah, so the Morin's is actually very common physics textbooks for classical mechanics. So like a lot of people like will use this to study classical mechanics. Yeah. Then for another big topic is like electrodynamics, which is like your electromagnetism. For this one, is like one good textbook can be like the Introduction to Electrodynamics by Griffiths. Yeah. So Griffiths actually like he also has another book on quantum mechanics, which a lot of people use also. But this one is not really related to like you won't learn quantum mechanics at A level, so this one is not really that important. But if you want to self-study, right, that quantum mechanics textbook is actually pretty good. Yeah. Then for other topics, actually basically these are the two major topics, I guess, like mechanics and the electrodynamics. Yeah. But actually for even these two books, right, it'll be they'll teach you from the basics. So you learn everything from like O-level stuff to A-level stuff to like university stuff. So like you can just so it's pretty good because like, if you want to learn deeper, right, you always have the content there. For example, in the electrodynamics, right, they'll go like from like your normal electrostatics, then magnetostatics and all that into like special relativity and all that stuff. So it's like they actually it has a depth for you to learn if you are interested. Yeah. Then I think the last one that might be important is like thermodynamics. Yeah. Then this I'm not sure if there's any like really good books about it, but the one reading is like the Statistical Mechanics by like the Blundell. Yeah. This one I'm not really sure like what's the name of it because like all of the text was like just a subject. So yeah. But usually for mechanics just use Morin's and for electrodynamics you just use Griffiths. These two are quite good. Then for chemistry, I'm not sure like which one is really that good, but I know that a lot of my chemistry Olympiad friends use Caden. Yeah, this one, I'm not sure about the name. I just know the author is called Caden. Then that was quite good. So yeah. Then also textbooks, right? I guess like one way to learn like a lot of physics concepts is like there's a lot of like online videos, I guess. So like actually last time to study for like SJPO, right, I was watching like Khan Academy also. I'm sure all of you should know what's Khan Academy, right? Yeah. So they actually have a lot of videos on all the like the basic physics topics. Yeah, so actually for SJPO is like I said, it's like it has a lot of topics last time, right? So as long as you know the topics and do some questions. So that's why like you just need like kind of introduction to this, then it's quite good already. Yeah. So I find that the videos and the practice by the Khan Academy is actually pretty good because they sufficiently introduce the topic and give you some question practices on. Yeah. But of course, like you can use this as like to aid with your normal like school work, not just your self-learning. Yeah. So it's still quite useful.
Okay, thank you. So for the last question, there was one question raised in the live chat. Parents wanted to know for Chemistry Olympiad, when and how do you prepare for the Chemistry Olympiad?
Right, for Chemistry Olympiad, because I did not do chemistry Olympiad. I didn't go to the international one, and I stopped doing it like 2017. Yeah. So this one might be a bit outdated, but from what I remember, right, chemistry Olympiad, the syllabus is actually much, I guess it's much easier than physics Olympiad back then. Yeah. So it's that I guess they want to be like more, they want to encourage more people to join chemistry Olympiad. So from what I remember, right, you can, if you are good at like H2 chemistry, you can do most of the questions there. Yeah. But so like but then the difficulty is that like some of the stuff, right, is like they have a few parts, and then like maybe the last part would be like something more difficult, like something deeper they didn't learn. Yeah. For example, for organic chemistry, right, they have like maybe like 5 parts to it. The first 4 parts are your standard reaction. The last part is like some special reagent that you might not learn in H2 chemistry, but you'll learn if you like take Olympiad lesson or something. Yeah. So it's basically something like this. So a lot of the content in chemistry Olympiad, especially I mean like for the national level, the STRO, is that it's similar to like A-level chemistry. Yeah. But I think that they purposely make it this way to encourage people to join it. Yeah. So I feel like if you are good at A-level chemistry, right, you can have a good chance of getting a medal at STRO. Yeah. But the thing is that the level between the difference between STRO and ITRO, the international one, is actually very high. So the ITRO is actually a lot more difficult than STRO. So that's a good thing and bad thing about like making it like easier. So good thing is that you encourage more people to join the competition. Then you have like more people will be aware of it. Yeah. Then more people can like be interested in chemistry and like learn it in the future. But bad thing is that yeah, it might not be sufficient to like prepare for. It's not a good gauge for the international competition because the level is so different. Yeah. So for example, like for organic chemistry, right? In Astro, the reagents is like very standard. Then they'll give you all like the standard reagents, and there'll only be one that's like a bit special. But for ITRO, right, they'll give you all the weird reagents that you've never seen before. They have used based on the patterns like of like the different reagents to find the reactions. Yeah. So it's actually very different. Yeah. The gap was smaller for physics last time. So the S4 and I4 questions, like there's still a difficulty gap, but it's not as high as the chemistry one. But I think for now, MOE wants to make S4 more inclusive also. So they cut down the topic, make it simpler. So I guess like S4 will be similar to S2 now. Yeah. So I'm not sure like about the current situation, but last time was a lot different. But yeah. But for chemistry Olympiad, yeah, so that's the for theory round, like yeah. But for chemistry Olympiad, right, there's also a practical round. But for practical round, right, the national level, every single year it will be titration. Like the experiment just titration. Like they have rarely tested anything else other than titration. Yeah. So it's actually like, yeah, you might think that titration is like such a basic skill and can do it, right? But then yeah, but it's still a very important skill, right? It's like it's important enough such that they put it as a second round. Yeah. Because like in ITRO, right, your titration must be very accurate for you to like get the points in the practical round. So I think that's why they put the titration in the STRO also. But yeah, but I'm sure everyone have done titration before if they go like A-level or O-level chemistry. So it's not something special you've never done before. It's just that you need to be very like confident and very accurate with your titration skills for you to like perform well. Yeah. I mean, of course there'll be some questions there, like there'll be still some theory questions that's like quite maybe a bit tricky. And that's probably how they differentiate between like the different medals. Yeah. But overall, right, for chemistry Olympiad, as long as like you're confident about your H2 like or H2 chemistry, right, you can have a good chance of scoring well there. So I really encourage you guys to like try it out if you're interested in chemistry. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I really learned a lot today, and I hope all of you have also learned as much as me. Before we come to the end of the sharing, let's invite Betty back on stage.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, and Ruoxi, for the sharing. So I will just do a very quick summary of today's event. At the same time, also like to share a little bit more about what Miao is about. I'll bring you back to the stage soon. Okay. So just please allow me 1 minute. Okay. So I just do a very quick sharing about Miao. Okay. in Chinese. Welcome to Miao Academy. OK，我们是一家呢主要专注于人工智能在线教育公司，然后我们主要专注于做对于13到18岁的学生，针对他们的数学和科学提供一些智能化的一些解决方案。然后我们曾经呢也是被微软的 BeSpark、亚马逊云 AtStart 和 NUS 的 Scope Computing 进行了孵化 incubation。OK， 然后我们也多次受邀参与过新加坡教育部的 EduLab 项目。OK， 然后今天呢，就是我这里只是做一个简单介绍，就是我们有2款主产品，一个是喵数学的喵Math App， 还有一个 is 的 Facebook Messenger Bot。然后我们主要是做自动化的去给学生们去解答或者是去自动的一些问答，一些数学和科学方面的一些知识和一些关于 homework 上面的一些它的知识点的推荐和一些类似习题和详细解析。OK， 感兴趣的话，你们可以在我们的官网上找到更多的信息。我们现在呢有超过27万的学生注册了我们的平台，然后在未来呢，我们也会做一个全方位的推出。现在主要是覆盖数学，未来也会覆盖生物、物理和化学方面的一些基本的知识。OK， 然后今天呢我会主要 focus 再提一下我们为什么会创办喵 Meets。其实在创办喵 Meets 之前，我们主要是 focus on the Miao ecosystem， 就是说集合新加坡非常顶尖的一些数理方面的学生，让他们去更好的用他们的学习的 knowledge 变到我们的整个智能化系统里面。而这些学生呢都是曾经参与过整个喵的自动化产品制作的，他们有一些人都是拿到了大部分人都是拿到新加坡非常有名的一些 scholarship， 包括 PSA scholarship， 还有像 DNSC 他有拿到像Ziyou Foundation 提供的scholarship。 OK， 然后这里的话呢就是从差不多去年的主要的时间，我们就开始做了这个喵 Meet Live。在之前我们有做一些 blogging sessions to就是让学生们去分享一些他们跟数学和科学有关的一些有意思的故事，包括他们如何自学去 coding， 自己去完成一些产品，然后包括拿到一些非常棒的一些 Bond Free Scholarship 这些故事。而从去年开始呢，我们就 focus on the Miao Meets Live Sessions， 就是说有更多的现场互动性，包括有 share 他们个人的一些经验，包括向同学之间去分享一下他们学校之间的生活，然后也有一些非常棒的一些 topic， 包括像是 How do I take good notes， 这些呢其实都是学生非常就是对于学生来说都是有很帮助的一些话题。然后现在开始呢，我们会做更多的 expert sessions， 就是说有一些非常有意思的经验，我们希望通过他们同学之间的分享，能够让其他的学生们获益。OK， 然后这是我们过去的一些 partnerships 和一些 supporters。OK， 然后和过去参与的更 focus on 一些public 的一些 events。OK， 然后这是过往的一些媒体报道。然后今天呢，我只会大概的带过，就是说我们其实从今年年头的时候开始就会给大家推出一个喵 course 这样的一个板块。然后现在呢，我们主要是 focus 在数学的这个板块，然后在我们的整个喵 course 上面的话，它是进行一个5维度的一个全方位的包括课前、课中、课后如何帮助学生们去进行巩固和学习。OK， 然后这是我们现在用的主要的线上的授课的系统，上面有包括像是作业批改，然后包括课上的一些 participation 的一些记录，然后我们其实在未来也会有更多的经典习题的一些视频推出给大家。OK， 然后这个板块我只是大概的提一下，然后未来我们有更多的详情的话，也会通过我们的公众号分享给大家。然后这里呢，左边这边部分是 WeChat 我们的公众号的一个账号，包括像我们今天的这个活动过后，我们也会做更详细的总结，然后分享到我们的公众号上面。然后呀，今天我也 OK，just nice. It's 9 p.m. So OK, let's bring our guests. Hi, yeah, let's bring our guest and the speaker back to the stage to say goodbye to, yeah, okay, just nice. I spent, okay, the cutoff time is 9. So thank you everyone for the sharing, especially thank you Ruoxi and Ziyou. Okay, especially Ziyou, you have really shared a lot of valuable information, including the prestige scholarship application. I think very few people have the experience of getting into the application of that, like interview sessions with that special scholarship. So yeah，用中文来讲，我们就是有很多很多的干货，包括 UK、US school applications. I think Ruoxi take notes, okay, for the futures, what you need to prepare and how can you have good chances of getting those kind of excellent scholarships and yeah, learn from the seniors. So thank you everyone for the sharing and let's give them a big round of applause. Okay, thank you and have a great evening and have fun for your last day of the holiday. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 谢谢大家。Any last words to say to the audience? Especially Ziyou?
Not really.
Really? Okay. And you're nervous? Yeah, you have shared really a lot valuable information here. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's all for today. So thank you. Yeah, rest well. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, yeah, bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay, let me see, how do I do a screenshot? Okay, let me close off.